I live 3 miles from the border. I'm 91 years old. I have an acquaintance in Eureka, Montana, which is about 10 miles from here, and I would like to see that border opened up. Thank you. Bye-bye.
A call was received on the John Adams and Friends hotline from a Canadian gentleman who introduced himself as being 91 years young. I had the pleasure of returning his call and hearing Andy's story firsthand. He shared with me that he lives 3 miles north of the U.S.-Canadian border in southeast British Columbia, and his lady friend lives 3 miles south of the border in Eureka, Montana. That's just a total of 6 miles apart. Typically, Andy would have driven over the borders daily to have had supper and social time with his lady friend, and also go out and buy his groceries or get some gas before returning to Canada. He indicated that the prices are much better stateside, and therefore with the borders closed, at his age, he notes that his budget has been impacted. Since the border closure in March of 2020, Andy has been able to go over the border twice, and that is due to the constraints and quarantine controls in place. He has preferred not to go over. Andy is fully vaccinated, as his lady, with the most recent trip being only a few weeks ago. Andy holds dual citizenship, and he described for me the hassle he had in obtaining a pre-arrival swabbing before returning to Canada. Eureka, Montana didn't have the testing service. Neither did the next town that they drove to, nor the third town. However, they did manage to arrange a private clinic visit to accomplish the task, and it cost him $250 US. And I too join him in saying that the pricing and his expedition was idiotic and an example of price gouging, especially given the circumstances. Upon arrival at the Canadian border, Andy was given a test kit, which he made use of. The problem was in finding somewhere to hand it off to. His daughter drove it to a hospital 30 miles away, and they didn't want it. The specimen was then driven to another town, and a pharmacy agreed to process it. And with a negative result received, Andy followed through on his quarantine for 14 days. However, he was told he had to stay in his house and not go out. He found that amusing, given that he lives on an 1,800-acre ranch. There's no one else around. Andy shared with me that his health is reasonably good, and he ventured to tell me the story of him getting on his horse a few years ago and falling off and breaking his hip. This was at a roping event. Imagine, 91 years young, and he's roping. Good for you, Andy. Apart from that, he has enjoyed his ranching and farming career and his roping events. For a gentleman of age 91, he told me that he wants to enjoy his life and live it to the fullest. He doesn't know what the future will bring, but he certainly knows he wants to spend time with his dear lady friend in Montana. So please, open the borders and make life easier for them and others of his age group who are missing loved ones near and afar. Thank you to John Adams and Friends.